Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skipbound, and once again, this is the Top 5 Weekly. And this week, our topic is we have a lot of movies coming out this week that we could have chose a topic from. So, collectively, we came up with this topic. We wanted to make it fun. We want to do something different. We kind of pick topics based on directors or actors or actresses or basically genres, that sort of stuff. So we want to do something fun this week based on Transformers. There's so many toys out there, and there's been so many toys going back to when I was a kid, and that's a long time ago. So I got with the guys, and we decided we're going to say toys we want to see be made into movies. And this is going to be really interesting because you don't know what the heck kind of toys that resonated with Andrew and Steven or myself. So this is going to be a fun little romp down memory lane here, going back to when we were kids and some of our favorite toys and toys that resonated with us, or even the world as a whole. There's toys that were like such a big deal around Christmas time. And so let's get this started. Andrew, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew. This is going to be an interesting episode. For me personally, it was really tough making this list, so please forgive me if the list is rather shitty. But growing up as a kid, growing up in the late 80s and 90s, essentially all of the toys that I played with were based on TV shows or movies and stuff like that, and all of them got made into movies by now. Things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like the Power Rangers, which just had a new movie this year, stuff like that. It's gonna be interesting. I know Steven grew up around the same era as me, so there's probably a lot of overlap. Dan is gonna be interesting because I don't know what he did as a kid, but
Hula hoops.
but this is gonna be interesting.
Some hula hoops or some bubbles.
Yeah, I don't know if sticks and rocks count. But
man, you guys are calling me an old man. Is that what I'm getting here? I'm an old man.
That I didn't have the toys back in the day.
Bubbles?
Not my fault. I blame society.
Oh, come on. All right, Steven, introduce yourself.
Hi, Stephen Billings. I'm glad to be back. I was at the beach last week. I got a little bit of color on me. You probably can't tell. I'm still white. I got a different shade of white. It's brighter in this room than usual. My skin's actually darker. But yeah, I mean, this was a very interesting list. I honestly, like Andrew said, forgive me for this list because these ain't movies I probably really want to ever really see. But I wanted to have fun with this because these are almost like each of these are like pitches. I'm going to pitch you a movie, a shitty movie, for a toy that whatever. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. We don't do these kind of oddball episodes. The topic I wanted to do this week, we can't do till next week. So, but wait till next week. We're going to do that topic next week. But let's get this thing started. Steven, since you're back off of a week off, you get to start it up.
Yeah. All right. So my first pitch to you guys, and I included board games. I don't know if that count. Okay, good. I included board games, and this one I'm doing Candyland. Now, with Candyland, I'm going to throw a twist at you. My Candyland movie is actually going to be also an origin story for Willy Wonka. And it's about how Willy Wonka grew up in the jungle before he met, or not the jungle, but like the rainforest where he eventually meets the Oompa Loompas, of course. But he grows up, and this land he lives in is just candy. It's just candy. And this is how he starts to fall in love with candy, starts to learn about candy, and he's got his friends and blah, blah, blah. I don't have the whole movie here for you, but really, I mean, the game, it just fits perfectly with Willy Wonka. Candyland. Willy Wonka, secondary title, Candyland. That's my number 5.
That actually wouldn't be that bad. An origin story for Willy Wonka, how he found the Oompa Loompas and how he became involved with candy and whatnot. There was this talk a couple of years ago that there was going to be a Candyland movie, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it's on a shelf somewhere or if it got stopped. Did they stop it or whatever? But I did hear that there was a Candyland movie in the works. So we'll find out. Maybe your wish could come true, Steven.
This was not a real wish.
Andrew, what do you got for number 5?
Number 5 was actually a toy I never had. And some of those stuff I put on this list is stuff I never had, so it's kind of like a wish list. But number 5 was something called, I don't even know what it was called. I'm just calling it the Crossfire game. I don't know if any of you remember this. There was this commercial back in the early 90s. It had it had lightning and like these 2 kids who were going to battle in this Crossfire arena. And basically the premise of the game is each kid is given like these tiny little metal ball bearings, and they have to shoot it at these little like pucks in this little like arena.
Yeah, I played that. I had that.
I never had it. And I always thought the commercial was the coolest thing in the world because it was like an 80s commercial that they just didn't want to remake, so they just put it in the 90s. So the kids are wearing like leather jackets, and there's lightning, and it's dark. It looks like a warrior, like something like from straight out of the Warriors. And I was like, you know what? Thinking about this now, it would be an interesting movie, but obviously you would make it more lifelike in a sense, like there would be almost like a Thunderdome-ish arena that would kind of be like a soccer game or a hockey game, and the same thing is to get these pucks into each other's nets. But I feel like it would be more life and death. It'd be a lot more Thunderdome-ish, something like that. I always thought that was cool. I always thought like when we were a kid, they let kids play with little metal ball bearings, which, you know, if you shoot it at somebody, it's going to hit some kids. So, but that was the 90s. It was right on that cusp when parents started caring about like the toys they gave to kids. Me and Steven were lucky. We got to grow up with some really crazy stuff, like back in the day where toy guns looked more like real guns than fake guns. I mean, it was an interesting time growing up in the 90s.
You're going to shoot your eye out, kid.
Basically.
No, actually, I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, how about like different countries get involved? And this is kind of the way they solve like disputes with one another and stuff. And you create a whole
Crossfire.
Yeah, it's like a World Cup of whatever this is.
You know, and if your soldier loses, they get ostracized to some deserted island or something.
That was like the Hunger Games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it sounded like when I was listening, I was like, that sounds like it could be like a Hunger Games type of situation. I'll tell you what, I can't believe this has not been. They made damn Battleship into a movie already. They have not made this game into a movie, and this is ripe for the pickings. They've made versions for Star Trek, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings of this game, and they haven't made a movie yet. My number 5 is Risk. I mean, think about this. We have all these countries in the world that are having problems with each other. We had World War II, and we had Vietnam. We have all these different wars. How can you not have come up with a damn movie based on Risk with like fake dictators and fake like countries or real countries, but like with fake dictators and caricatures of real life people and stuff like that, and them doing stupid things and making dumb decisions and stuff. And it could be, I think Risk would be a really cool, like you could get like Michael Bay. We're talking about Transformers this week because of Michael Bay. Come on, tell me Michael Bay's version of Risk, the movie, wouldn't be freaking amazing. You know, all the crazy. He gets all this military armament for his movies. How does he always get like tanks and carriers and helicopters and all this crap for these movies, these Transformers movies? Maybe he could get it for these. We'll have like the Cuban Missile Crisis thing going on with Risk or something like out in the Atlantic.
As long as they get Nicolas Cage, I'm good.
Oh yeah, you got to get Nicolas Cage. That would be perfect casting as like one of the main guys. Maybe one of the
one of the dictators. He's one of the dictators.
Yeah, one of the country's leaders or something like that. Yeah.
The bees. Yeah. Let's go.
I mean, how can they have not made a movie of Risk by now? But they made Battleship. I mean, it's crazy. But so number 5 is Risk. Love that game. I was into a little bit into chess, and Risk was like a better version of chess, I thought. But so that's my number 5. Going back to Steven, what is your number 4?
All right, so this one's almost purely this is for financial. This pitch right here, my number 4 is more financially. I was thinking financially that this would be a success because people like Fast and the Furious because people are stupid, and people like musicals. So I'm pitching Hot Wheels versus Matchbox because this was a debate I had with my friends growing up. Like, I was more of a Matchbox guy, and my friends were like Hot Wheels guys, and I was like, guys, come on, you guys suck. Matchbox all the way. And so this movie is almost like a West Side Story mixed with Fast and the Furious, and it's like a musical with rival gangs, one being the Hot Wheels gang and one being the Matchbox gang. And they, have like car races and shit and like, their own style. But then there's also a musical element, and there's a romance element. There's the girl from the Hot Wheels side, and then there's the dude from the Matchbox side, and they have a romance. It's a movie, guys. It's got romance. It's got action. It's got everything in it. Hot Wheels versus Matchbox, 2018. It's coming out, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Oh, wow. No, Lord and Miller would do great with that. Would it be?
No, I'm sorry. No, George Lucas. George Lucas, because he's going to bring his American Graffiti in there. We'll do that.
Would it be animated or live action?
No, this is live action. Lead actors on the girl from the Hot Wheels side is going to be we're gonna get Emma Roberts because she's kind of slutty, and I want a slutty girl in there. And then the guy's side, I want to get a new star in there. Let's get that Alden Ehrenreich for the new Han Solo over here on the Matchbox side. So them two, the middle, the romance, Hot Wheels, Matchbox, 2018. Make it happen.
Yeah, that would be a interesting movie. I would think it would be a cool animated movie, but you want a live action, that's fine, no problem.
It doesn't really matter. As long as we got rival gangs, Hot Wheels, and musical, I'm good.
That'd be cool. That'd be interesting. All right, Andrew, what's your number 4?
Well, my number 4 is similar to Steven's number 5 in the sense that it's a board game, but I'm going with kind of the other Candyland, if you will. When I was a kid, if I didn't play Candyland, I played this game, and that is Chutes and Ladders. I don't know. I always preferred it. There's something inceptively deceiving about Candyland because I always thought I had to deal with candy, and I never got any. So I have a gripe against it. But Chutes and Ladders is the ultimate FU game in the sense like you think you're going to win, and then you hit a chute, and then you drop down. It's kind of a great metaphor for life, which was also turned into a game called Life. But this game as a movie would be interesting, perhaps from the perspective if it was something like a Labyrinth. You know how in Labyrinth, Jennifer Connelly's character has to go through a labyrinth, but the labyrinth in this movie would be Chutes and Ladders. There's some places where you climb up, and there's some places where you fall down. It's kind of like a booby-trapped labyrinth, if you will. I'm just thinking of this literally as I'm talking to you, so I haven't really fleshed anything out.
Wow, Chutes and Ladders in Candyland. I mean, I'm thinking Chutes and Ladders. How about an action movie where like they're in like this city, and obviously a lot of these buildings have ladders, and sometimes the ladders don't work and they fall down. You could kind of make it into like an action movie, maybe a cops and robbers kind of thing like that. Call it Chutes and Ladders or something. Bang, bang. Oh, you fell down the ladder. Oh, you climbed up the ladder or whatever. I don't know.
Or like shoots, the word shoot could be, shooting. Ladder could mean something else. You know what I mean? Could be a dystopian movie where the word shoot and the word ladder means something different.
Yeah, yeah.
Call Ryan Johnson. I'm having Looper flashes in my head.
All right, so my number 4 is, well, we've had Transformers. Michael Bay had 5 chances at Transformers. So what if we gave somebody who's one of our bigger action directors, who's good at directing action films, stuff, take a go at GoBots. What do you guys think? GoBots. I mean, they're the kind of like the little cousin of Transformers. They're like, I like GoBots, but everybody and their brother, including myself, loved Transformers growing up. So GoBots is like the little cousin of Transformers in a way. It's the lesser of the two, you know. So that's why I mean, what do you think? You guys got a pitch for me? Because I can't think of what I just think GoBots. I would want to see GoBots. Maybe since we already had Transformers and we've had 5 movies, let's see what we could do with GoBots. Maybe we could make better movies. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I wasn't into that growing up. So
honestly, just if you're gonna do GoBots, do what they don't do with Transformers. Do the opposite. No human characters.
Yeah, no human characters. That's a great idea. Just do.
The characters are the GoBots.
Yeah, the characters are the GoBots. There you go. And they live in real life world, and they have to figure a way to solve some kind of mystery or crime or help out without the humans knowing about it. Like the humans are just normal people, and then the GoBots have to figure out how to solve this story, this whatever crime or whatever it is. That'd be interesting. Kind of like a little bit what they did with the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A lot of the ways the humans really kind of weren't really involved. It was all about the turtles and Krang and some of the main characters from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? The humans, well, you had a couple humans involved, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. All right, so maybe I didn't think about GoBots as much as I thought I wanted to, but I put it on number 4 anyway. All right, so back to Steven. You're number 3. Take it away.
I'm sorry, Dan, but do we want to do our Transformer review?
Oh yeah, let's do a quick Transformers review since everybody. Am I right? Everybody saw Transformers?
I did not see it, Dan, because I wanted to, and by want I meant more like obligated. And every day this week I was like, I'm gonna go see Transformers. I'm gonna go see Transformers, and then I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I watched Steven take the bullet, and then I know Dan, you saw it too. So I'm gonna let you guys talk about it. And shockingly out there, it's not very good. I haven't seen it yet, but shockingly, it's not very good.
All right, Steven, you can go first. You know, I'm not even gonna say a word. Go first.
Okay. So me and Julian, you know, only ones there to see it. I mean, I go see my special screenings at my old theater. Me and him, assistant manager, in there watching it. You know, we're like, okay, let's watch this thing. Let's get it over with. It was worse than I thought it would be. It was worse than I thought it would be. This movie is completely useless. And they sit here and they try to rewrite, like almost soft reboot it. You know, they try to like, you know, you got the, you know, ancient, you know, Transformers that were in one movie. I don't even remember what it was, Revenge of the Fallen or whatever. And then now it's like, no, we go even further back. And it's like, I don't know. Guys, Transformers is garbage. Please stop watching it. It is just garbage. I don't care what, I mean, sure, some people get some kind of sadistic enjoyment out of it, of seeing shitty movies. You guys keep complaining about how movies are crappy. It's because you're watching this stuff. Stop watching it. It is awful. No good acting. The writing is just terrible. As Julian said in our review, the best part of it was the part that didn't last but like a minute, which was when the Transformers was in like the Knights of the Round Table. Like that's the movie I would have enjoyed because it has character to it and it has, you know, this sense of like it's just completely different than every other Transformers movie. The only good thing I can say about Transformers movie is some of the visuals are very good. The thing about Bay is even though his stories in the storytelling and all that stuff and the acting's bad in his movies, he has stunning visuals. He's a very good visual director, very much like a Zack Snyder. Very good visual director. Even though I don't like some of his choices, I don't like the upward angles all the time. That's a little bit, the ass shots are they get a little bit old. But he's got some good visuals, and especially the last 15 minutes, there's some really good visuals in the movie. But this movie's just garbage, guys. It's Dan, whatever you can add to it, have fun.
Yeah, I saw the first Transformers movie, and I'll tell you what, I absolutely love that movie. I love the comedy that went into it. I love the special effects. I love it was kind of a smaller movie, and I feel like once that one was so popular, and it was just such a fan friendly, and it made so much money that they try to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And maybe what they should have did was go smaller and smaller and do more character pieces. Because the bigger the movies got, the worse the stories got, and the bigger the stakes were as you were in the film, the worse the acting got, because it was all about what kind of special effects, what kind of military equipment, what kind of helicopters or carriers or tanks or what kind of like crazy special effects can Michael Bay throw at the screen. And in exchange for that, what he loses is story and acting and character, which is what the first one had that the rest of them don't have. And this one, you think they can't get worse as they go along. Well, they do keep getting worse. And this is the absolute worst of the worst. And Steven, you're absolutely correct. The best character, in my opinion, in the entire movie is a voiceover character of a guy voicing over a butler. That's the best character in the freaking movie. He's not even a transformer. He's just a robot. A guy voicing a robot, a butler. Anthony Hopkins, I would have loved to see him have better dialogue. He gives it his absolute all in this film, and it's wasted because the story around him and everything around that character and what he's coming up with is awful. It's awful. Mark Wahlberg, I felt like Mark Wahlberg didn't even want to be there. The coming to some of the stupid things that came out of Mark Wahlberg's mouth in this film were ridiculous. I mean, awful film. Please, no more Transformers movies by Michael Bay. Obviously, we're going to get the Bumblebee movie next year, and maybe that's going to be more of a character piece. And hopefully, with an actress like Haley Steinfeld, it's going to be a better movie, because Bumblebee is probably next to Optimus Prime the best character in the franchise. Awful film. Please, if anybody's watching this video, don't give any more money to this franchise. Steven's absolutely right. It's tracking at about 65 million in the United States for this weekend, but it's tracking ridiculous overseas. Same thing as the last one. It killed overseas. And so we may get more movies, but maybe this is a sign of the future of this franchise, and we get Michael Bay off of it. We get somebody else that might have a good idea with these characters. Myself want to see a crossover between G.I. Joe and Transformers. I don't know if we'll ever get that, but first of all, we're going to get a good G.I. Joe movie, then another good Transformers movie. So both of these great franchises that I loved as a kid, toys, has made awful movies, except the first one, first G.I. Joe and the first Transformers. But let's get off of this crappy topic and talk about something fun and interesting. Some more toys we want to see be made into movies. So, Steven, what do you got for number 3?
I got a movie that's better than this Transformers movie. I got you guys. All right. So think Homeward Bound, but with Furbies.
Furbies? Oh, my God.
Yes. Homeward Bound with Furbies. So you have these kids, they're young, probably, 10, 12, whatever. And they they get Furbies, which of course they're not toys in this version. They're these real weird, owl gerbil looking like things. And, they grow up, they get them from when they're born, and, and we get their voices. They sound like, the voice actors, there's going to be 3 of them. The voice actors, I'll have Daniel Day-Lewis does one of them, because, his last performance can't be him in this P.T. Anderson movie. It's got to be this voice of one of the Furbies. And then we'll also get just random. Owen Wilson's like, nah, I'm not lightning. He'll do a Furby, and then we'll get a female Furby, and it'll be like we'll get Catherine Zeta-Jones just randomly. She just thrown in there. So basically, these kids lose their Furbies. They get they get lost out in the wilderness and have to make it home. And along the way, they have to survive different things. Very much like Homeward Bound, but with Furbies. And Furbies, Furbies, they're annoying. So there will be a lot of annoying things that happen. But you can't help but love them because they're so lovable. And, along the way, maybe they find their cousins, which are gremlins, because gremlins are very much the same thing. And you're like, oh, shit, it's in the gremlin universe. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, and then you realize now they're going to make a third movie, with gremlins and Furbies, and it's a universe. So, yeah, take that.
I need to take the camera away from you, Steven, but you're making me laugh, man. Gremlins and the Furbies. I was thinking the very same thing when you start doing the Furbies. I was like, oh my god, this could be like a crossover with Gremlins or something like that. That'd be interesting. And bam, you said it right after that. That was kind of funny. But yeah, Furbies. I remember Furbies, but they were a little bit after me, but I do remember them. All right, Andrew, can you top that? Can you top Furbies?
Oh, no, I can, Dan. I cannot do that, but I will tell you something anyway. And my number 3 is not really a board game. I'm not sure if it's an actual toy. All I know is that it gave me anxiety problems when I was such a young boy, and that is the game Operation. For those of you out there who were kids growing up, they apparently wanted you to know where certain bones were in the human body, so they decided to give you Operation. But the key is you had to perform surgery on this thing, and on this kind of board where there was this cutout of this kind of clown-looking human being who's apparently wide awake while you're doing surgery on him. And if you had to get in between these little holes, these little cutouts of these certain body parts, and if you didn't, a little buzzer went off. And I remember as a kid being so anxiety-filled about that buzzer that I played the game pretty much with the thing turned off because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it as a kid. But for a movie about Operation, I'm thinking kind of a dark movie, maybe like a David Cronenberg type movie, where it has to deal with body parts being sold on the black market, something like that.
This is an Eli Roth movie, man.
This is also an Eli Roth movie, but the Eli Roth movie I feel would be one, he wouldn't be able to get the budget, and 2, there would just be blood everywhere for no reason. At least with Cronenberg, I can rely on the fact that we're gonna get some practical effects and we're gonna actually get some artistry in it. But the thing is, I was initially going to go with something along the line of Frankenstein, because you have this thing that deals with body parts and operations and things like that. But then I'm like, you know what? Twist it. Make it darker. Make it more of a horror film about kind of body parts. Maybe something along the line of Tusk, but more serious. Tusk is more of a dark comedy upon rewatching than it is a straight horror film. And I was thinking along the lines of that. I don't know what you guys think, but that's kind of the thing I'm making up right now.
Well, let me tell you something. I think I could be wrong, but I think there's an Operation movie in the works right now.
There probably is.
I thought I heard something not that long ago that there's an Operation movie in the works. But the thing is, I heard that there was actually Operation Star Wars Operation, and it's Darth Vader that you're working on. Now that is an operation I would buy right now. Get to work on Darth Vader in Operation or something like that. That would be kind of fun. I heard that the other day on a show I was watching, that they made a Darth Vader Operation, and I actually had Operation on my honorable mentions, Andrew. So obviously we're on the same page there. Yeah, I mean, you could do like a Doctor Strange kind of thing where you have a real life guy, and he's like a surgeon, and you're dealing with his life, and he's got this life or death situation where he's got to save this person's life. And this is like some family mom. She's got 3 kids, and she's at the PTA meetings or whatever, and she's gonna die because she got in a car accident. And this doctor, he's got alcohol problems, and he's got all these problems, and he's gonna save this lady's life by operating on her or something. I don't know. It's a real life drama of operation, you know what I mean? But yeah, operation wouldn't be bad at all. All right, so now my number 3 is based on a worldwide best-selling toy. When I was a kid, everybody and their brother had to have one of these, and they were going for $200-300 on the black market when I was a kid in the early 80s. Why they have not made an animated film based on this and created an entire franchise yet based on this, because we have all these problems with race and stuff in this country and in the world as a whole and stuff. Cabbage Patch Kids. Why have we not seen a movie, an animated movie based on Cabbage Patch Kids by now? You'd think it would be a no-brainer for people, right? A Cabbage Patch Kids movie? Come on. With all the race problems, you have the black ones and the Hispanic ones and the white ones, and they all had different hair, and you had ones from other countries and everything. This would be great to try to get kids from all walks of life and all countries to get along with each other by watching a movie about children getting along from all walks of life and all countries and all creeds and all backgrounds and stuff. What do you guys think? I mean, Cabbage Patch Kids. Why haven't we seen this by now?
Well, you know, I'm trying to picture how these kids came together. You know, I mean, you said it's going to be an animated
This
movie?
came out of the Cabbage Patch.
Come together from school.
Yeah, the Cabbage Patch Kids always freaked me out because dolls in general just freaked me out. I don't know about you guys, but dolls just kind of freak me out in general. They have these dead eyes in them.
A horror movie.
They have eyes like a doll's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's animated, Andrew. It's going to be for kids. But you get so many great voices, like some of the biggest voices in Hollywood to do all these kids. You know, it's a school. How about a school, like a public inner city Detroit elementary school?
As animated Detroit?
Yeah, animated inner city Detroit.
That's very interesting.
Or Chicago or something. And these kids are all going to school together. You know, I don't know.
Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah, like they're all talking. It sounds interesting. I just don't know how they would make it work. One, I don't know if they're actually still a popular brand. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, Dan, they were uber popular back in the day. I'm not sure now if kids would gravitate towards that because they're more into. I mean, Barbie's still popular. My Little Pony's still was popular when I was a kid. So it's like all of these different brands that are just thrown out there, and then you throw Cabbage Patch in there. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know which kids are gonna like it.
Trolls is such a old thing. You never thought they would turn Trolls into a movie, and it was such a huge successful movie. You know, I don't know what you would do with it, but I'm sure.
I mean, you could make it like a Hey Arnold type of thing, where it's like neighborhood kids hanging out. You know, like just it didn't have to have any real plot. It's just like, or maybe it's like the save the city or save the park kind of thing story where it's like the kids band together to stop some, you know, greedy person, you know,
or like the Sandlot, but with Cabbage Patch Kids.
Or like Sandlot, something like that. Yeah,
that'd be cool, right? Okay, all right. So that was my number 3. We're going to Steven's number 2 now. We're getting good. We're getting close to the woo. These pictures are gonna keep getting crazier and crazier, huh, Steven?
Woo! Actually, they get a little bit more legitimate, I would say. My number 2 is one that's been kind of toyed around with. They haven't done it yet, really. And I think this would work as an animated or live action. I'm always more prone to seeing live action, but they kind of did something very similar recently with more animated, and it worked for me. And that's Stretch Armstrong. Stretch Armstrong needs to be done, guys. I mean, we love superheroes. You know, Mr. Fantastic. I mean, this is him. You got Incredibles. You got, you know, what's her name?
Elastigirl.
Yeah, Elastigirl. So we've seen this power used in other movies. I think that if you did Stretch Armstrong, you do him kind of like the Tick, where he's like kind of like a lovable doofus kind of superhero from like a different age kind of like thing, like not like modern-y where everybody's all dark and serious. Very much like almost a comedy, like Blank Man, you know, where it's almost like a comedy superhero movie. And I think it would be hilarious. Like come up with a great, you know, maybe he lives like in California and he's like a surfer dude or something. Make Stretch Armstrong like a surfer guy, and he's like, because he's got that blonde hair, he's like a pretty boy, but he somehow gets powers to stretch, maybe from some weird alien that falls into the ocean or something weird. Give him a cool story. But
no,
yeah,
I absolutely agree.
It's just he's a character that he's got that, you know what his power is. You just got to come up with a cool story around him, and you got it, you know, and make it raunchy, make it a rated R, make it like Archer.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I had Stretch Armstrong on my honorable mention, Stephen, and it could be like some kind of alien rock that falls to the planet, and he's like a surfer dude. Hey, dude, cowabunga. And all of a sudden, he gets zapped by something that falls into the ocean, and he's got superhero powers. How does he, you know, he goes about his life. He's got his girlfriend. He's probably drinking beers, Mai Tais, having his good old time on the beach in his little freaking.
Oh, and my cast, John Hamm, Stretch Armstrong.
No way. Class.
Yes. John Hamm, because I can see him. I mean, just thinking about Archer, because like that's what I want. I want it to be rated R. He's like, of course, there'll be a scene where he's like with some lady, and he's like, "Can you stretch that too?" And then he's like, "Yes." Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, Stretch Armstrong. I mean, you think that would be ripe material for a movie? And I heard that was going to be made into a movie. I don't know what happened to that. I really heard there was a movie. Actually,
well, there was the talk is now is they're going to make an animated TV series.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was like, this is so weird sometimes how these ideas get thrown out there, and you, I heard that's going to be a movie or that, and then you hear nothing about it, but we get frickin' Battleship. I'm going to keep saying, we got frickin' Battleship of all pieces of crap. All right, Andrew, go ahead with your number 2.
Man, it's tough to follow Steven in this week.
I know.
My number 2, I'm going to go with a classic, a favorite, the Rubik's Cube. Not quite a toy for kids, but I played with it when I was a kid. And my pitch for the Rubik's Cube movie is kind of like Tron. Or, I have 2 kind of pitches here. Kind of like Tron, where you get sucked into this Rubik's Cube type world, where the blocks are always shifting, and it's almost like a
maze.
Like a maze, if you will, but it's kind of like that movie with Arnold back in the 80s where he gets
Running Man,
kind of like that. Or I have another one where the Rubik's Cube is kind of like the box from Hellraiser, and it's like the most difficult thing in the world to grasp, to figure out, but once you do, you get transport. Maybe that'll work into the other movie, is if you figure out the Rubik's Cube, you get transported into this Rubik's Cube world. That's why I just combined those 2 pitches. I'm doing this all on the fly. This is magic.
I'll help you. Like each side, like every time you complete a side of the Rubik's Cube, it gets you to the next level. Like you have to and it's like Jumanji, like, and you get sucked into this other world, and you have to get through each level of the Rubik's Cube to win. And
yes, in each of them, it's a different world, it's a different challenge, and you have to get to essentially the end, or the big boss, if you will. I haven't quite named him yet. I'm just going to call him Mr. Rubik, because that just sounds like an interesting name. Mr. Rubik, Mr. Rubik, the Cube Man, or any other differentiate you want to make up off of the Rubik's Cube. But yeah, that is my pitch for the Rubik's Cube movie. As you can see, these are getting kind of less sophisticated as they go along. You can all thank Dan for this week.
Yeah, I know it would be fun. I knew it would be fun. We've been talking about trying to do a fun topic.
Yeah, it was kind of me. I was like, I want to do that one. I think that'll be hilarious. Dan would have wanted to do Anthony Hopkins, and I was like, nah, let's do this one.
Nice. Nice.
Hopkins, we'll do him. We'll do the Anthony Hopkins down the line. No, Rubens, I was thinking about you. What would you do? Like, you would have a special kid, like a kid was selected to get the Rubik's Cube, and he had to go on this mission, Andrew. Would that fit into the story.
I also got extra stuff with that. Yeah, you have a kid, and what happens is every time he goes to one level, it's like time travel. And then like he picks up a really intelligent person from history as he goes and he finds Einstein, and fucking Einstein joins the group. And then he like goes to another spot and then finds another Stephen Hawking. He brings Stephen Hawking. He's in the movie now. And it's like shit. And it's like they can't figure out the Rubik's Cube. You're like, son of a bitch. Yeah.
Oh, and the villain at the end is like this big millionaire.
Trump.
No, it's Trump. The villain at the end is Donald Trump, and he's at the top of his freaking Trump Tower, and he's got to defeat Donald Trump.
That's actually kind of brilliant and the idea is that he's not someone who's actually ever solved a puzzle or done anything worthwhile in his entire life, but he just happens to run this Rubik's Cube world just because.
You got to get that written and do that. Oh, man, that might actually work. We might be able to sell that.
Gotta make that money, Dan.
Oh, man.
Inception. You got to throw some Inception in there.
Yeah.
Oh, you know there's gonna be a world where the whole thing turns on its end.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. All right, my number 2 is we have a TV show. We had an old TV show. We got a new TV show, but I want to see live action Voltron, not Power Rangers, not Transformers, but live action Voltron. I'm sick of all this animated crap. We get to go to far off planets. We get crazy despots from other worlds and stuff like that. We're in this fanciful kind of science fiction world of our country and our world. But I want real life Voltron. I want people, and I want real cool characters and stuff like that as these lions and stuff like that. I mean, I know we got Power Rangers and we got Transformers. That's like a mix between Voltron, but Voltron's like the middle of both. It's like a better version of Power Rangers, and not as good as Transformers, but because of the movies, we can make a better version. If we learn from the Transformers movies, we can make a better version of Voltron. I mean, God almighty, why have we not got Voltron live action movie by now? I'm hearing that's in the work. I think Legendary got the rights to Voltron, and there's a possibility they may try to throw Voltron into the Kong and Godzilla universe. Possible. I don't know for sure. But tell me that wouldn't be awesome. You know?
Yeah, once again, I never really watched. I wasn't into that, so.
No.
Voltron came out kind of the generation before Steven and I. Yeah. But the problem is, one, it's probably just super expensive to do it. You know what I mean? And to sell Voltron is probably tough. I mean, it was tough to sell Power Rangers, and that's a show that's still going on from its inception onward. And it's gonna, not make as much money as they wanted it to. So a Voltron movie where you have to incorporate outer space and stuff like that, it'd be tough. I mean, in the animated realm, you can kind of get away with doing anything, money is a lot easier to work with. But it'd be cool. I mean, I would like to see it just to see it.
For me, if you're going to do something like this, it's about the approach. Like anything that has got different, we've got a lot of things with robots in it nowadays, Pacific Rim and stuff like that, but you just gotta go at it differently. I mean, originality is impossible nowadays. So it's about how you how you show the audience this story, these robots. Don't make it the same way every other movie like that's been presented. Present it differently. Make it different tone, different everything, to try to make it different than the 5 other franchises that have big robots in it. You got to write it a certain way. I mean, but
no, you're right. You got to come up with some different writers. I mean, they did a nice job with Pacific Rim, but I think they just, I don't know.
I like Pacific Rim for what it is.
I know, I did too. It's just something about it. Just, I don't know what it is, that something about it rubs me the wrong way. But I think given like a J.J. Abrams or a James Cameron or somebody that has vision could really do a great job. Christopher Nolan could really do a great job. And Christopher Nolan has worked with Legendary, and he hasn't done something like based on another property except for Batman. So I like to see one of those visionary directors do something like this.
Really? Okay, that'd be interesting. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, if you got one of those guys on it,
and you get some good financing from overseas because they Chinese and Japanese and Korean companies and businesses would freaking flip over a live action Voltron movie. You know what I mean? They love these.
Yeah, Pacific Rim did really well overseas.
Got it made into. That's why they're doing a sequel, because the amount of money that was made over in those countries compared to America. Same thing with Godzilla. It didn't do as good over here, but it killed over in those other countries. Same thing with Power Rangers. Didn't do great over here. Did okay. Did freaking fantastic, where they're going to definitely make the second movie in the Power Rangers, quote unquote, 6 movie, whatever the hell they're going to do with 6 movies. But all right, so that's my Voltron. That was my number 2. So now we're going to go to Steven's number 1.
All right, so like I said, these get a little bit more legitimate. I had a lot of fun with my earlier pitches more than the further Stretch Armstrong is one of my favorite toys growing up, so love that one. But that's more of my seriously, it needs to be made into something. And along with that, my number 1 is another one I think that is probably actually going to happen. I haven't heard any word about it, but there's another franchise that's already become very successful and is very similar. And it wouldn't be surprised that it would be in the same universe even maybe. And that is Play-Doh. Play-Doh being made into a movie just makes sense. I mean, like Lego movie, a very similar thing where you're constructing things, and whatever. Play-Doh, same thing. You can make anything out, make a lot of these structures and shit out of Play-Doh. And of course, it's just you can play with it. It'll be comedy. Kids will like it. It's a brand. Everybody's gonna be into it, I think. I mean, as long as you get the right direct. I mean, if you get Chris Lord-Miller to do it, I mean, I'm sure that would be hilarious. And then eventually, maybe combine the two. Have a Play-Doh Lego universe. It wouldn't surprise me if it happens. So, I don't have much as in a fun plot to tell you about that one, like I've had from my earlier ones. But to me, it's kind of like the most no-brainer out of the ones I could think of is Play-Doh, because it's just still a thing that people, kids still play with. I would still be playing with it if I had some, but it's just expensive. And, even I'll throw in Lincoln Logs too. Lincoln Logs get thrown into there somehow. But that's it. That's my number 1, Play-Doh, # Lincoln Logs.
Well, I almost put I put Play-Doh on my honorable mentions. I almost put Play-Doh in my top 5 as well. There's so much you could do. Who's seen the movie My Life as Zucchini yet? That movie looks like it was made out of Play-Doh. It looks like it's Play-Doh animation. Yeah, go. If you have a chance to see that movie, tell me that doesn't look like it's Play-Doh. Was the animating style that they used to make My Life as a Zucchini. I mean, it's so weird. But they could use Play-Doh in so many different ways. Make it an original movie using Play-Doh, making Play-Doh the movie itself. Like Steven says, I mean, Play-Doh is you think, wow, they haven't done Play-Doh yet. We're going to get an emoji movie. We haven't done Play-Doh yet, but you never know. All right, Andrew, what is your number 1?
Oh, man. Well, unlike Steven's, mine seemed to get worse over time. But my number 1, man, Play-Doh was a good option, but I'm going to go with something. I'm sticking with classic, following up the Rubik's Cube, going with the classic, something that I had when I was a kid, and I had it numerous times because it would keep kind of breaking on me, and that is the Slinky. Seems out of the box. Well, this is an out of the box episode, but the Slinky is one of those magical things you get as a kid, and you really don't know what to do with it. That's why I kind of really don't know what to do about a movie, but I am thinking of an animated film a la the Lego movie where it is a Slinky-orized world. That doesn't make any sense. A lot of what we're saying doesn't, but the Slinky-orized world is basically everything is kind of springy. Springs. And this is an interesting concept because Slinkies can only do so many things, but what if you have this character who wants to be more than just Slinky. He doesn't just want to be something that just springs from one place to another. He wants to kind of walk like walk like another toy or something like that. It's kind of in the same vein as almost like a Wreck-It Ralph, where Ralph didn't want to be Wreck-It Ralph anymore. He didn't just want to be in that video game. He wanted to be something else than what he was. But the idea is the Slinky is so kind of constricted to its structure that it almost wants to change its makeup. It wants to literally put its consciousness into another toy. I'm going way out of the box here because I'm just making this up as we go. But as I'm thinking about it, it sounds very Matrixy to me. But I was just thinking of the Slinky because I always remember that scene. Steven probably knows it. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. He leaves the for the first time, and he just he's like, something I must do before I
Everyone
go.
It's Slinky. You better get
the Slinky. So the song's already built in.
Go, Slinky, go!
To the bottom, and it hits the last step. It doesn't quite make it there, and it's just soul crushing. And but as a person, I always wanted to do that. But that's an aside from this. But that's just kind of the attractiveness of the Slinky already embedded in pop culture. And it's probably going to be endorsed by Jim Carrey.
Something existential about a Slinky.
Yeah. Not only that, we're going to have Jim Carrey in this movie because I'm going to pitch it to him exactly like this, including the Ace Ventura reference, and that's going to hook him right in, clearly.
Well, I hate to break the bad news to you, Andrew, but...
Oh, you love doing it, Dan. Don't lie.
Slinky has already been used in two movies.
Oh.
2 movies. Slinky has been used in
This is what happens when you don't do research. And you just do things like 5 minutes before the show. This is how I got through like 10 years of college, is just did things right before they were due. So that's a message for you young people out there. Procrastination can be your friend and your enemy.
It's all right, Andrew. Don't worry about it. But Slinky is a character, and they attach pieces of a dog to it. And they
Slinky the dog. Yeah.
Slinky dog in Toy Story. So basically, Slinky has been used in 2 movies. I think Jim Varney voiced him, and what happened was Jim Varney died, and I don't think they used Slinky Dog in Toy Story 3. I could be wrong. Maybe he died after Toy Story 3. I'm not sure. But Slinky has been made into a movie. Already as a
they haven't had just a Slinky movie though.
Yeah, come on, Dan.
Come on now. No semantics here.
You're right.
There's not been a Slinky movie.
You're right. Slinky itself has not been in a movie itself. But you know, the good thing about Slinky, it is for a boy and it is for a girl. So it's any kid can use it.
Well, they also came out with like different sizes, different colors, like you know what I mean? So it's very much a variety toy, if you will.
They have plastic Slinky, they have metal Slinky, they have big Slinky, small Slinky, you know. So you're out. I mean, Slinky.
You're talking about something else, Dan. That's gross.
Oh, man. All right. So my number one is based on my number one for a previous episode because I'm such a big fan of this animated show when I was growing up. And they've made Transformers, they made G.I. Joe, they made He-Man, they've made all these toys in the movies, but they still have not made the Thundercats in the movies. So they made a toy out of Thundercats, and I had all the Thundercats, and I still hit my fist on my leg. I still want to see a Thundercats live action movie. Maybe the Thundercats are animated, but the world they live in, the world, like the planet they reside in, is like some far off planet. Whatever the planet is real, and we use different places on Earth as the planet, and so we get to go to crazy places on Earth that the Thundercat people live and they reside in, and they meet up with some of the bad guys and some of the newer characters, but they're actually places around our planet, and then they could do some sets and stuff like that, but make the Thundercats themselves kind of super, like really good animated, but the world around them live action. And you could be it's not like they're interacting with humans or anything. They're interacting with all their people from their actual Thundercat world, Thundera. And I'll tell you what. Once again, I'm saying some of the visionary filmmakers, come on, guys. Can't somebody come up with a Thundercats movie? Please. I think we're getting another He-Man movie. We're not getting a Thundercats movie. I mean, don't you guys want to see a Thundercats movie?
Not really.
What?
Sure. I've been pitching it. I've been pitching it for years, like saying they should make a Thundercats movie. Why not? I mean, they've made every other '80s toy line that had to do with an animated show. You know, they made a He-Man movie. It was crap, but they made it. I mean, they made Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They made them all. Why not Thundercats? I mean, that would make perfect sense. I mean, I'd rather see another He-Man movie before I see a Thundercats movie. At least get something right from that era when it comes to translating and the animated and toy world to live action. I know they tried to revive Thundercats with a new animated series a few years ago. It didn't last very long, so I don't know what the market is for Thundercats. But yeah, I'd probably watch it if it was cool.
Well, the thing is, you're using motion capture in movies like War for the Planet of the Apes and Star Wars. And why not do motion capture and then create kind of a realistic version of what Lion-O and Panthro and Chitara and Mumra and some of these characters would look like, but have a motion capture actor play these people in like real life like settings like Iceland or Africa or the Andes Mountains or the desert in Africa or desert in Arizona, just real like settings, you know, and but basically it's Thundera. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Don't you think that would be pretty awesome?
I'm worried about. I was talking about like using live action, shooting it on location and stuff like that.
With motion capture, you shoot a real actor in the suit, then you animate Lion-O, Panthro, Chitara, Mumra, all these guys over the person in the suit.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to do it. Just because, but it's got to be good. Yeah. There's good mocap performance capture and there's bad performance capture, and we see the differences now. You know, War for the Planet of the Apes is coming out next month, and we're going to see the best version of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I've already saw the best version of it, and it's phenomenal. Andy Serkis is ridiculous. He's unbelievable. All right, so you guys have any honorable mentions? You guys already said my honorable mentions, so I don't have any honorable mentions. So do you guys have any honorable mentions?
I mean, off the top of my head, well, one that I had a hard time not putting on my list was Beanie Babies. Like Beanie Babies is another one. It's a big collectible item when I was growing up. I collected Beanie Babies for a while, but I couldn't really figure out a great funny plot to put with Beanie Babies. The other one is, and this isn't really a toy, it's more of like a weird thing that people had that kids loved, and that's sea monkeys. Why isn't there like a sea monkeys? Why don't you a little sea monkeys movie? You know, like weird little sea monkeys. You know, why not?
I thought there'd be a Sea Monkeys movie by now. Oh, and I came up with one while Steven was talking. So after Andrew goes, unless Andrew takes mine, I will say one.
I probably won't. As you can tell by this list, I don't have much. But Play-Doh was another one that seems it's gonna happen really, really soon. And all the stuff we talked about, Play-Doh kind of makes sense. I mean, the same world as Lego. Any variation of Lego, they're gonna put into production now. Even perhaps the fake Legos. I forgot what they're called. What was it called? Like building blocks or some nonsense.
Legos.
Lego. We'll just call it that. It's not, but it's like the Legos you would get as a kid when your parents could not afford to buy you Legos. Stuff like that. And that would be an interesting kind of thing they could incorporate into a Lego movie. It's like, we're real Legos. And then you go to this like fake Lego world where it's the fake Legos. That would be interesting. I know just a lot of board games could be made into movies. Monopoly is one, but it would kind of be almost like a Wall Street like where it has to deal with like greed and like kind of corporate corruption, stuff like that. So kind of like a Wall Street and a RoboCop in the same way, because RoboCop was also kind of about like corporate greed. But yeah, not a lot of stuff from my end. But Dan, I hope I didn't take yours.
No, you didn't take mine. But Monopoly, I think they're making a movie of Monopoly. Actually, I think I heard there's a Monopoly movie in the same vein as what you just said.
It's been in production for a long time. They're still probably trying to figure it out, but of course there's a lot of other board games like Hungry Hippos, shit like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about Care Bears. I mean, why haven't we had a Care Bear movie? I mean, like they made animated shows and all this stuff. I'm like, really? They haven't done an animated live action Care Bears movie by now?
Live action?
I mean, no, animated. Big block.
We don't want it to be a Smurfs situation.
Yeah, man. You know what happened? They did the Smurfs, and then they just redid the Smurfs the way they should have really done the Smurfs, and it tanked badly.
Well,
so, who knows?
Well, that's what I mean. I'm not saying I don't want to see the Care Bears as a live action where they're in the real world. I want to see an hour and a half fully animated Care Bears movie. That, I mean, why haven't we got that? You think we would have gotten that by now. There's so many good, with all the different characters in Care Bears, you know, they all have emotions and whatnot. They could do so many different things, you know. Maybe do like a depression movie where one of the Care Bears is going to kill themselves or something, and the other Care Bears are trying to prevent them from killing themselves. Life isn't that bad, you know, whatever Care Bear you are.
No, but the title is called Nobody Cares About the Care Bears.
The thing is, they've done Care Bear animated movies. I don't know if any of them are theatrical though. Yeah, they did. They did a cut. They've done several of them. Wow.
Okay, go ahead. What'd you say?
I was doing a Google search, and there's just a lot of Care Bear movies.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, they use the technology that we got to make a better, kind of more realistic computer animated Care Bear movie. Not one of those.
Oh yeah. Well, I have an affinity for the hand drawn stuff, but yeah, I know what you mean.
All right, so that is it. If you want to hear any of these pitches in Los Angeles, you can go to Andrew Cabral. Where can you be found?
Find me on Twitter at Cabzilla06, as well as my YouTube channel, Cabzilla Productions.
And Stephen Billings?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Film Club Central, Film Club Movie Show, stuff like that. You can also find me working on the Willy Wonka origin story, Candyland. So we're working on that. Oh, God. All right, so next week, I thought it was going to be this week, but it's going to be next. We're going to do heist movies based on Baby Driver. Hopefully the guys will have a chance to see Baby Driver by the end of by Saturday. And you can find me at Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. Also, I do a podcast on this very channel called the same title as this channel, the Best Damn Movie Show channel, with my co-host Vinny LaSpada. We just did an episode last week. Probably do another episode next week. Also, if you haven't watched, Stephen and Andrew and myself and a couple of them, Mark and Billy, have been contributing to the 52 must-see movies and why they matter series, where we just talk, we break down some of the classic films of all time, and we tell you why they're such essential films for everybody to watch. So they're also on the Best Damn Movie Show channel, this very channel. Top 5 Weekly is on that every week. So if you haven't watched these episodes, go back and watch some of the older episodes. Thank you and good night.